it's Joanne again. I'm continuing with my last video in which I talked a little bit about some of the ideas that I pieced together from the last couple of videos that were left out. In this podcast, I wanted to talk about the whole idea of what happens to a human when they incarnate into 3D. When we are souls, we're up in the higher dimensions in the heavenly kingdom. And then when we're born into the lower dimension, a lower frequency earth, and what happens is that our souls get limited once we're inside of a physical body. The physical body is much denser. There isn't the freedom that there is in the heavenly kingdoms, where we exist as light beings and can travel anywhere. There's no illness, there's no death, there are no negative things that occur in the upper dimensions. This is something that we experience in the earth plane. So the reason why there's suffering on earth and why the earth plane is so difficult is because of all the restrictions that are put on our soul when we inhabit a physical body. Because our souls are really big and our physical bodies are very dense. And so in order for us to live in the way we were created to live, it is my personal belief that the earth should be more like a paradise. It should be more heavenly than it is with all the suffering that is upon it. And the reason why I believe there's so much suffering on the earth is, once again, because of the matrix, because of the lower dimensional power structure that controls the earth. And it's controlled by people who are narcissists, people who have closed hearts, they lack empathy, and also they align themselves with dark energies. This is the unseen world that not many people talk about, but that exists and something that I see. And what I discovered from my experience is that there are many people who are narcissists, who are in powerful positions, that use dark magic and align themselves with lower energies to stay inside of power. And they do things like put curses on people. They use all different types of dark magic, which I really don't want to talk about too much in this video because I don't want it to have that energy. But as I talk about it, I'm also calling in the angels to keep the vibration of this video really high and beneficial to people. But the thing I'm going to talk about a little bit is how these curses and other restrictions from the lower energies, and we can also put restrictions in our energy field ourselves by the way we react to the world in lower dimensions, and I'll discuss that at some point too. But for now, I'm going to talk about the dark energies and how they have for millennia controlled Earth itself and made the planet a planet of suffering, where God's children are used in a way to provide fuel, so to speak, for the dark energies to continue existing on planet Earth. But when we learn that our energy fields are like circuits, electromagnetic circuits, and their currency, we can understand a little bit more of what I'm talking about. So I made a graphic and put over this, and it's just of a human form, and it shows a stick figure human. So this is a 3D physical body, and the area around it is our soul. But our soul is even a lot bigger than that. Okay, our soul is limitless. Okay, so when we come from a place of this large, humongous soul, and we shrink down into a physical body, our soul still, I should say our soul is still big, but it's in our physical body, but it's also around it too. And very often, in order to exist upon Earth, we make ourselves smaller to fit in. And also, there is an intentional, constant targeting of God's children to make their energy field small, to have them look outward all the time at other things and not to their soul. Okay? So I look at our soul as being like a circuit. And it's a circuit that if you have an electrical circuit, you want the electrons to keep flowing in the circuit to the point, let's say you're lighting up the light bulb, so the light bulb will light up. If there are any restrictions in the circuit, the light bulb's not going to light up anymore if the electron flow is stopped. So our physical bodies, our soul inhabits our physical bodies, and we have these energy centers in our physical bodies where the energy of our souls continually flows. And when we're babies, we are the closest we are in energy to the Creator. And we have really good flow then. Although, here's one of the things I want to point out. When babies are born into a physical body, they have a little bit of a fresh start in this lifetime. They're not fully influenced by the matrix yet. However, they can have what's called epigenetic tags on their DNA, which is energy from past lifetimes, such as curses, from these lower dimensional families that go onto the energy field of the baby, and they're born with it. So that already starts a person off at a disadvantage if they're carrying a curse from their family lineage from generations past through their DNA, and they're born with it. That's one of low vibrational people who were associated with a dark energy, like a demon or something. They curse the family line for whatever reason. It could be various reasons. The baby will be born with that and carry that in their energy field. So let's say I've had one that I determined was in my family, a scarcity curse. And I traced it back to the Middle Ages. On my father's side, I heard the word fiefdom, that someone who was probably in the nobility cursed some of the other people, and there was a whole class structure, and they'll curse a whole family for whatever reason. I didn't hear the reason for it. And then that curse of scarcity, to make it so they wouldn't get anything, would stay in the family lineage for many generations. Another one that I got in my family on my mother's side, I found was disempowerment of women. And so that went way back. I'm trying to think when in the lineage. I'm here in Babylonia, when women were treated as servants and disempowered. And so if there was someone in my family ancestral lineage, a female, who had a curse put on them to disempower them, that stays in the bloodline throughout the generations. Unless you have someone like me, and there are many others who are now doing it in their families, who break those curses energetically and remove those restrictions from the energy field. So I've worked on removing the scarcity curse from my father's side and the female disempowerment curse from my mother's side. So that will make it so that I and members of my family won't have to have difficulties in trying to attain money or women holding their power. So this is just two examples of many of the curses that go back way in time by people from families and bloodlines that worked alongside the wrong God and lower dimensional beings to trap humanity inside of the matrix. So there are many other ways that we get trapped, through sound frequencies, through just the main thing that's done is, society is made in a way that we're constantly looking outside of ourselves for our power, okay? And people will spend countless hours being entertained, whether it's on TV, their phone, in different entertaining ways like watching movies, TV shows, sports games, etc. And so they're looking outside all the time to spend their time looking outside themselves. A lot of people work a lot, so they're busy all the time looking outside of themselves. They may go to a religious service and they're looking at someone else to tell them about God. So always looking outside for the answers. Well, in the book that I wrote, I talked about before, called The Book of Love, it's a book of transmissions from Mary Magdalene on the truth of your soul and the power of love. Mary Magdalene was a very powerful female that the church disempowered. Pope Gregory, and I can't remember what year it was, called her a prostitute. And this was done deliberately to disempower her as a female. It was all part of the patriarchy, disempowering females, in order for just certain males, and these are just males that consider themselves to be above anyone else, to help control the power on the planet. So they're part of the patriarchy, which is written down here beneath my figure that I drew. And she was actually, in truth, Jesus's companion, Jesus's equal spiritually. But she was purposely, her name was purposely tarnished so that people would look down on her and not follow her teachings. And Mary Magdalene said, the kingdom of heaven is within. In order to find the kingdom of heaven, you must spend time in quietude in examining the sanctum of your heart. You have to look inside yourself for the kingdom of heaven, not outside at all these things that the 3D world wants you to look at. They want you to look at celebrities and look at celebrities as being stars. But you know who the real star is? It's you. You have the light of Christ within you, the Christ star. And it's so very powerful. And that Christ light goes along with the Christ love. Mary Magdalene, by the way, is considered the female Christ, the female divine feminine aspect of God that brought in the energy of God or the Creator as equally as Jesus did. But she was purposely, again, tarnished because the male-controlled patriarchy of the world wanted to say that males were more powerful. And the males that they put forth as being powerful are not divine males. Divine males are males who live from their heart, that we would see up here. Patriarchal males are those who live from power, control, manipulation, narcissistic ways where they put themselves first, and it's all about material gain and power over others, not like the loving power of the heart that we have and the light that we have, in which we want to love ourselves and one another and help one another. It's not like the power of our souls. It is the power to control others. So when we look outside of ourselves, then we're shrinking our souls down and we're not expressing their power. We're, in essence, giving our power away to others. So the reason why suffering exists in the world, okay, I'm going to take this off again, is, again, because of the 3D matrix. And we have a free will choice that we can take part in the matrix, okay, and not look inside ourselves, not look at the gifts the Creator gave us, and spend time being alone and reflecting on our gifts and learning who we truly are as souls, and instead spend all our time looking outside of ourselves, looking to stars who have money and they're in movies, and it's okay to watch movies or whatever, but we're not to give our power away. There is no coincidence that Hollywood calls their celebrities stars, because they want us to give our power away to them, to an image that a star is a person who's famous, who has a lot of money, who's in movies. We should look up to them, we should adore them. That's their view. That's this view. That's what the Matrix wants us to do. But in truth, like I said, we are the true stars. We are the children of the sun, the children of the light, the children of the Creator, who are, in essence, we're souls. We're love and light personified. And our true nature is our souls. The physical body we have is like a temporary robe we wear that when we've done what we needed to do in this lifetime, you leave the robe behind and we exist in the love and light of our souls, which to me looks like a star, like a brilliant, luminous, beautiful star. Another thing too, that this patriarchal system of servitude trying to get the free will choice of the few to override the free will choice of humanity also wants us to look at royalty, look at those people who have a lot of money, who control the power and the wealth on the planet, and look at them like they're above us, like they're on a pedestal and they are royal. But in truth, that's another illusion that they created to try to take their free will of appearing to be greater than us and subverting their free will over us to make us seem disempowered, to make them seem more powerful. In truth, it's all an illusion. The show that they put on for humanity is all an illusion. And when you're intuitive like me, you can see beyond or behind the illusion. You can see the truth behind what the show is that they're trying to make us buy into. And the truth is, we are stars. We are the true royalty. We hold the power. We are love and light of the Creator personified. So all this suffering that exists in the world is from their show. And us buying into their show and having their influences in our energy fields that slow us down and make us small and slow down the flow of our spiritual energy. And I touched a little bit about electrical circuitry and the electromagnetic field of our souls, but I kind of went on a bit of a tangent. So that's likely will be a topic for another time. But the truth is, we have to get back to our power. We have to remember who we are as souls, and that is how we return the planet back to a planet of love, back to the Garden of Paradise the Creator intended to us. And it's in our DNA, but our DNA is silenced from the restrictions put upon us by the Matrix. And again, sometimes we put restrictions on ourselves unknowingly when we get trapped in lower emotions like fear or guilt or shame, and we don't live so much from our love. So it's so important that we learn to break free from the Matrix. And that's why I'm here. And this is one of my roles. I just was shown an image earlier today that my role is kind of like, the Matrix. When I had a vision a few years ago and I wrote about it, where the Matrix looked to me like a net. And that when we are children or babies, and we're incarnating into the earth, we get caught in this net. And the net is a programming of frequencies that allow us to forget who we are as souls, okay? And so the net stays with us our entire life unless we work to get on here. And I was shown this morning that one of my roles is to pull a thread out of that net. And as I pull the thread out of the net, it opens up a hole in the Matrix to allow other people out if they desire to. So that's what my teachings are meant to do, to awaken the love and light in the souls of others, to enable them to see that they are souls and they continue on the journey of self-discovery. And they can then exit the Matrix and be free to use their free will to create the life that they desire to live from their heart's desire, from the love and light of their souls and create a beautiful life for themselves, for their family, which will ripple out into all of humanity, into the whole world. And as I said in one of the previous podcasts, that love is the prerequisite to peace. Okay? So, in summary, suffering exists on earth because we are not living fully from our souls. We are not living fully from our light, love and light. We are the ones with the power to flip things around, to create a planet governed by love when we learn to live from our souls. Thank you for listening.